In Bulgaria, particularly in the temperate forest regions interspersed with grasslands and farms in the north, wild boars have long been a source of distress for the local population. Not only do they destroy crops, but they also cause severe damage to the natural ecosystem. The increasingly serious situation has forced locals to resort to extreme measures, such as setting up electric fences around their gardens, or even hiring professional hunting teams to track and trap the wild boars. Despite trying many methods, the wild boar population here has never shown a significant decline. And so today, once again, we pick up our rifles and head out to hunt. After a quick breakfast, we led the hunting dogs around the back of the farm. Freshly harvested cornfields are always a feast that lures the wild boars down from the hills. I figured this was a prime spot for an ambush, surely a big catch today. Sure enough, less than half an hour into our wait, a large herd of boars suddenly burst out from a patch of dry corn. Excited, I couldn't help myself. I raised my rifle and pulled the trigger. The startled herd scattered across the field. The biggest, fattest one appeared to be hit, injured, and lagging behind. The hounds quickly surrounded it, leaving it no chance to escape. At that point, all I had to do was walk over and finish the job with one clean shot. Our first trophy of the day was in hand. After that thrilling encounter, we moved to the other side of the field. This area hadn't been harvested yet. Lush green grass stretched out to the horizon. With such clear visibility, it was ideal for another ambush. From a raised mound, I scanned the area and quickly spotted a new target. I raised my rifle, calmly tracked its movement, waited for the perfect moment, and fired. The bullet hit the hind leg. The boar slid across the grass and came to a stop. Success after success kept the whole team energized. Even though it was nearly noon and the sun was beating down on the field, no one felt tired. This time, we decided to hide behind a corn bush. Jake and I got into position, gripping our rifles tightly and waiting patiently. There it was, a fat wild boar slowly wandered in less than 10 meters from our spot. It paused, seemingly sensing danger from the barrel aimed straight at it. But we didn't waste a second. A few rapid shots rang out. The boar was hit, but still tried to flee. I couldn't let it escape. I quickly fired a few more rounds, and finally it collapsed in the middle of the field. What unfolded before me was an astonishing sight. A herd of several dozen wild boars stormed past like a black whirlwind, kicking up clouds of dust and leaving behind that pungent, musky scent of the wild. Gunfire erupted across the field, and in the chaos, a few boars didn't make it out. Early in the afternoon, we split up to scout more targets. I rode my motorbike around the wheat fields. Suddenly, a dark figure moved among crops. I hit the throttle and gave chase. But in my excitement, I rushed it. I tried firing one-handed while riding and kept missing. By the time I stopped the bite, the boar had vanished, leaving me frustrated but still adrenaline charged. Just when we thought the hunt was over, Jake and I were driving back to base when, out of nowhere, a pitch-black boar dashed across the road ahead. Instinct kicked in. We stopped and raised our rifles. Jake fired first, but missed. I fired right after, trying to keep steady. This time, the shot landed. The boar flipped over and thrashed about at the field's edge. The golden light of sunset stretched across the distant treetops. We sat by the truck, laughing and chatting. More boars had been taken down, but what lingered most were the heart-pounding chases, the decisive shots, and even the near misses across the wild plains. What did you think of our hunt? Leave a comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more thrilling hunts to come.
Hunting wild boars is already difficult, but doing so in the rainy season is an entirely different level of challenge. The forest ground is slippery and muddy, the vegetation is soaked, and visibility is limited by a misty curtain of rain. More importantly, wild boars become more active, move around more frequently, and turn aggressive when cornered. However, these very hardships are what make the hunt so compelling. Let's see how we face these challenges head on. Wild boars dislike the rainy season because the damp conditions hinder their movement and hunting. However, the season also provides an abundance of food, encouraging more activity. Hunting in the rainy season is tougher due to slippery terrain and the fact that boar tracks are easily erased. Hunters must pay close attention to sounds and signs of wild boars to bring down their prey accurately. After a heavy downpour, puddles still lingered on the soaking wet dirt road. The rain continued to fall steadily, but it didn't dampen our spirits. In fact, these were ideal conditions for wild boar hunting. Cooler weather means more activity. The sound of pouring rain helped mask our footsteps and breathing, making it easier to approach our prey. As the rain started to ease, we spotted our first target. A dark shadow flashed by. I immediately raised my crossbow and fired. The shadow stubbornly tried to keep going but collapsed completely after only a few more steps on the soggy ground. However, as the rain intensified again, we had to head back to avoid dangerous conditions. After a midday break, our group continued deeper into the forest near home. This time, we decided to use rifles instead of crossbows, as we had little time to track footprints. One precise shot would end the hunt faster, saving time and effort. Suddenly, a large wild boar burst out of a nearby bush. It startled me a bit, but the instincts of a seasoned hunter quickly took over. I squeezed the trigger. Gunfire echoed. 2 successive shots rang out. The boar staggered, then collapsed as its heavy breathing gradually faded. Just when we thought the danger had passed, a sharp-eyed teammate caught sight of another dark figure lurking in the dense forest. Refusing to give up, we split up to search. As I took position, a giant wild boar suddenly dashed past me. There was no time to hesitate. Instincts kicked in. I raised my gun, aimed directly at the boar, and pulled the trigger. It fled desperately. Only after 3 booming shots did it finally go down. Less than 10 minutes later, several more adult wild boars were also taken down. But we knew the hunt wasn't over yet. New challenges were surely waiting ahead. The next day, with the rain completely gone, we resumed the hunt. The prey slowly came into focus. I took a deep breath, carefully aimed, and fired one decisive shot. It hit the mark. The boar fell, signaling the end of an intense pursuit. As we were preparing to head toward the mountains, we were suddenly met by a herd of wild boars charging downhill. In a panic, they scattered in all directions, but we didn't hesitate. Our group launched into action. No matter which direction they fled or where they tried to hide, the boars couldn't escape our sights. One by one, they were taken down. The constant barking and howling of the hounds led us straight to the target. The entire pack of hunting dogs had cornered a wild boar. As soon as it saw an opening, it broke away. From 50 meters away, I looked through the scope, took a deep breath, and when the crosshairs locked in, I pulled the trigger. Still, the boar was incredibly tough. It took 3 shots before it finally collapsed. The dogs swarmed in, barking and lunging at the downed prey to claim their reward. My fellow hunters also opened fire, shot after shot striking true, taking down more boars in quick succession. This hunt was truly intense and thrilling. Another herd of wild boars charged down the road, forcing us into a frantic chase. If we didn't stop them, they could pose a serious danger to locals. As we waited at a choke point, the entire herd, each boar plump and hefty, suddenly burst out, catching me off guard. But I managed to react in time, quickly aiming and unleashing a barrage of deadly shots before they could escape. Thank you for watching this heart-pounding hunting adventure. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel.
was late at night. Cold winds blew through the deserted fields outside the town, bringing with them a cold and wild feeling. Under the dim moonlight, Oliver and I picked up our bags, ready for a challenging wild boar hunt. We had hunted together at night many times, and they were all wonderful experiences. This trip required not only courage, but also vigilance and survival instinct. If you want to know what interesting things will happen, follow us now. Just as we were about to set off, a bold idea suddenly popped into my head. I wanted to use my own body to lure the wild boars closer. It sounded crazy. Oliver looked at me with a mixture of surprise and concern when I shared this idea. With the desire to conquer, I convinced my companion to carry out the plan. I sat quietly by the dense bushes, a loaded gun in my hand, my eyes tensely watching every movement. From a distance, the wild boars began to move, as if they had sensed our presence. Their dark skin was mottled with color, blending perfectly with the darkness. They moved towards in a herd, wariness unable to hide their curiosity. I could hear the growls coming from their throats, the characteristic sound of wild boars cautiously exploring their surroundings. A few minutes later, the wild boars appeared in front of me, very close, sharp fangs glinting in the moonlight, ready to tear apart anything that stood in their way. They stood there and looked at me, their small but bright eyes. My mind was struggling between two thoughts. Should I shoot immediately or let them come even closer? Then the wild boars faced the muzzle of my gun. Seizing the opportunity, I shot down the first one. The sound was as clean as the bullet cutting through the air. Immediately after, I adjusted my gun to fire a second shot, before the other wild boars could run away. Our risky game ended like that. The result was the first two wild boars lying at our feet. After a few tense moments, we decided to walk along the grasslands to find the wild boars. In the quiet night, the sound of wild boars echoed. A wild boar with a distinctive spotted coat appeared. As the boar moved out of the bushes, its eyes were alert, and its speed was also relatively fast. Oliver started his mischievous prank again, calling the boar several times in a row. A strange sound suddenly rang out, attracting its attention. It stood still to observe, but that was also an opportunity for Oliver to shoot. A precise shot to the head finished off the wild boar. It struggled for a while and then lay still, so we had another great trophy. Immediately after that, we moved to a position next to a pond. There would definitely be wild boars coming here to drink water. This was also an ideal ambush location. As expected, a wild boar that had probably just finished drinking water was leisurely returning to the field. As it passed in front of me, I immediately opened fire to take it down. The fatal shot knocked the boar down. I had no chance to fire back. Tonight, we had a few trophies, all of them extremely large. However, Oliver said he wanted to stop by his family's cow farm nearby. That's why we appeared here, next to the cows. Not only that, mixed with the cows, we also discovered boars rummaging through leftovers. Boars, with their huge size, thick fur and sharp eyes, didn't care much about our presence, even when I held a gun and stood right next to them. Until a soul discovered us, it seemed to have realized the danger. It continuously let out a warning growl, but it was too late. It had already entered my sights. As soon as it moved to an open space, I immediately opened fire and shot it down. This farm, wild boars were ramaging. We didn't say anything. Many people might mistake this for a herd of pigs raised on the farm. If you witness the terrible destruction when they ploughed up the whole ground, you will understand why we had to hunt these pigs. In the midst of the wild boar noise, I spied another big fat boar. It was running fast across the grass, and it seemed to have sensed the danger as well. As it ran back and forth in panic, I immediately took the opportunity to shoot. The headshot caused it to collapse and struggled with painful cries before it became completely still. Another big boar. It seemed that all the boars in the area were this color. The game wasn't over yet, as Oliver and I had some unexpected mischief. We placed a loudspeaker that emitted a high-pitched screech right at the location where the boar had been shot. Soon the whole herd was attracted, and they quickly ran towards the screech. When the herd reached the top of the hill, they recognized the danger sign. Immediately, the herd turned around and ran away. Although the original plan didn't really work, I still managed to shoot and kill a boar when it stopped to observe. After midnight, we had to end the hunt because we had shot a lot of wild boars today. And of course, I will need some time to process these trophies. Thank you for following our journey. Please share your opinions in the comments. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe to support the channel.